What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Roughing the Passer. As always, my name's Drew, and here with my main man, John. And first of all, everybody watching, all 20 of you, let's wish Mr. Newman a happy 15th birthday.
Yeah, I wish. It's three times that, and then add two more. So I'm officially. I was already old, so I'd say I'm getting older, but I'm already there.
Well,
So,
happy birthday, man! Happy birthday! Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate
glad
it.
to have you here. Yeah, so crazy week in football, that's for sure, guys. And we got a lot to talk about throughout the show. You know, we want you guys to call in and talk to us, but we're going to be bringing a lot of DFS into it this week. I don't know if you guys saw any of the updates. If you saw my lineup earlier today, out of the big pool with two players that only got 4 points total, two of my players, I still ended up coming in 16th place on the major pool out of 24,000 people. So if you took some advice in the lineups today, you were definitely a winner. If you took my Browns heavy lineup, that is. But anyway, guys,
congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, that was a big one. I was about 3 or 4 points. I was 4 Derrick Henry carries away from probably the couple $100 out of $1 stuff. So rough week. But anyway, man, let's get right into it. And we're gonna do it a little bit different this week as I move my desk around a little bit. John, why don't you run through the scores of this week's slate of games?
Yeah, no problem. The game going on right now, it's got the 49ers beating Green Bay 13. It looks like Aaron Rodgers off to another kind of sluggish start. In what I consider kind of a surprise, Tampa Bay 35, Atlanta 22.
Yeah.
Buffalo held serve at home 20-3 over Denver. The Giants did Giants things in Chicago, and Chicago won 19-14. Pittsburgh, in the ugly game of the day, wins ugly 16-10 over the Bengals. The Browns, after last week debacle, like you said, the DFS, they put up a 41 burger in Miami 41-24. In your game, New Orleans, Carolina came down to the wire, unfortunately for your guys. New Orleans.
We're talking about that later.
Yep. The Jets, apparently Sam Darnold called Ghostbusters because he's not seeing any more ghosts. They beat Oakland 34-3. In another ugly game, Washington 19, Detroit 16. Seattle in the Battle of the Birds, beat the Eagles, Seahawks 17, Eagles 9. Tennessee off the Henry trade, 42-20 over Jacksonville. I remember when Jacksonville had a defense. Apparently those days are over. And in the battle of the two worst fandoms in the NFL, New England 13, Dallas 9. And so that was a rain game. And so that's today's slate.
Yeah, lots of crazy games today. Lots of some of them quite predictable, a couple others not so much. But a lot of games today. There's one thing you can say. A lot of games today with a lot of playoff implications. I will say that. But Mr. Newman, I know you've got a lot to say about this game. And while you guys did eke out a 16-10 win over the Bengals, let's be real here. It's the Bengals. This is a game that I would expect you guys to to take care of. So really the question that I have for you at least, and like the first thing that came to my mind at looking at this game was I know they were depleted on some injuries and everything. I know that you guys are far from full strength, but is Mason Rudolph the answer there? Because I think I always thought it was Tomlin, but Tomlin's proven this year. I think he should win Coach of the Year. If you guys make the playoffs, he should be Coach of the Year because what he's done is phenomenal with the amount of talent he lost. Very few coaches could get to where you guys are. But Mason Rudolph, I was a fan at the beginning, I'll tell you, and you guys, please, watching the show, comment, let us know what you think about what I'm about to ask. But is Mason Rudolph the answer in Pittsburgh long term? Because Big Ben's, he's almost done.
Yeah. No, the answer is no, if you're asking me. And I've watched, obviously being a Steeler fan, I've watched every game. I've seen Mason now and every snap he's taken. And he's a great guy, but great guys, you don't win football games because you have the most great guys on your team. You win football games because you have really good players. And I don't think he's that. I think Pittsburgh fell in love with some college tape, and college to the NFL for a quarterback is not an easy transition, and I think Mason's finding that out. If you're asking me what his flaws are, I think he has terrible pocket awareness. He tends to hold the ball too long.
He has very heavy feet to me. Like when he's if he has to move inside the pocket when pressure's coming towards him, when the pocket's kind of collapsing, or let's say the left side collapses and he's got to kind of move up into the right, he seems to struggle a lot from the little bit I've seen of making those minor adjustments quick enough to where the pocket's still there.
Yeah, he, like you said, he runs into traffic instead of away from it. Yeah. He holds the ball too long. You got to sense when someone's coming and either throw it away or get out of there. He doesn't do that. So he takes some sacks. He gets the ball knocked out of his hand. He throws it into double coverage sometimes. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks, can do that. His accuracy is not the greatest, and he's got a pretty good arm. I mean, he does. I guess I'd put him at a place where if you needed a guy for a game or two, when your main guy gets hurt, he can do that.
Yeah.
But frankly, Steeler fans bagged on Landry Jones when we had him, and now that there's more body of work here with Mason, I don't think he's a whole heck of a lot better than Landry Jones. I think he is. I think he is better. Don't get me wrong. Landry Jones wasn't great, but I don't think he's the heir apparent like a lot of people were banking on, and a lot of people were already going to the bank and depositing that check, and that check's going to come back, I think, insufficient funds. So, I wish I was wrong. I wish I was saying something different, but I've been a Steeler fan for a long time, and I have to be honest.
No, 100%. And that's what we do this show for. And by the way, guys, the number right there on the screen, all you have to do, just click that link from your phone. It can be just the phone, or it can be on like a FaceTime type deal. So please call in with anything you'd like to talk about, any questions throughout the show that we have. If you disagree with anything we just said, call in and tell us. Or if your team kicks some ass today, or if you're a Saints fan and just want to rub it in my face for a few minutes, call in, rub it in. I get it. But
there's a lot of Steeler fans out here. As we have one of the, I mean, just being honest, one of the bigger fan bases. If a fellow Steeler fan sees it differently, I love to discuss it with him. I'd say debate, but I love to discuss it with him.
Well, I don't know exactly. It seems like someone has taken us up on that offer, as we've got looks like a phone call on the line. One of our first phone calls, John. So let's pull John in here, and Let's see, how's it going? John, how's it going, bud?
Hey guys, love the show. Love what I'm hearing so far. Want to talk about what I heard last week from your guest?
Absolutely.
San Francisco sucks. I mean, that team, I mean, what a ridiculous take that was. I mean, my God. They're 9-1. They have a top 5 offense. They have a top 3 defense. They have one of the best coaches in the league. I mean, don't we think
Yeah.
that was a little bit strong? I mean, this team's a
Oh.
borderline Super Bowl contender.
Oh,
Thanks. I'll hang up and listen, but thank you.
no. Stay online. Stay online. Are you a 49er fan? Because I'd love to ask you a couple questions.
I'm not a 49er
Oh,
fan.
okay.
I mean, I'm not. No,
Okay.
I'm a Patriots fan.
Well, so is he actually. But Dirk, yeah, Durkee. If you guys missed last episode, he is speaking on Ryan Durkee, and Ryan is known for his hot takes, so to speak. If there was a guy in the hobby card world who liked to spit out some Skip Bayless hot takes, Durkee would probably be the closest thing to Skip we got. So they're definitely proving him wrong right now, considering they're whooping the shit out of Green Bay 20-0. So your argument against it right here sure looks awfully great right now. And I disagree with it as well. I think San Francisco's got a lot of talent. Now, I think that their record, I mean, it's a little too late in the year to say they're not as good as their record. I mean, if you've made it this far, this good, you're that damn good. In my eyes, when it comes postseason time, I just have concerns when it comes to that team.
I think that's totally valid, to be honest with you. I think that's totally valid, and it's okay. I think it's okay to say, this team lacks experience and the quarterback's a question mark and things along those lines. But to say they suck, I mean, my God,
Right.
they're one of the best 3 teams in the league right now.
I would have to agree with you there. I mean, what about you, John?
Yeah, I'm with the caller, John. I like his name too, so just on that alone. But all seriousness now, Durkee was a little strong. I mean, their defense may be the best in the NFL, and when you have one of the best defenses in the NFL, you got a shot to make a lot of noise. They've lost one game. You could say quarterbacks a question mark. I wouldn't really argue that, but Jimmy Garoppolo's put games together too. I don't know if he's capable of putting 3 or 4 together in a row, but that defense is that good where even if he has maybe an off game, depending on who the opponent is, they still squeak one out. So yeah, they can be in the Super Bowl. When you look at the NFC, who's the dominant team if you take San Francisco out of that equation?
Yeah. I completely agree. And 23-0 at halftime over Green Bay, who a lot of people would argue would be one of those top teams if you took San Francisco out. I mean, by record at least. You've got to say that they're proving at people like Durkee. Sorry, Dirks, to single you out, but you come with the hot takes, you got to live with it. They're kind of showing it to you this week, buddy. But I don't know. See you at their funeral. Yeah, Ryan. We promised you could come back. Of course, when that happens. But no, John, you bring up some very valid points there.
Well, and I think the coaching. I mean, that's not to even say anything about the coaching. The coaching is excellent there. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
The coaching is great. So it's not even just that they're good on balance, that they have great coaching. So. All right. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate it. I will continue to listen. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Good luck. All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call, John.
Yeah, right, thank you, John.
All right, guys. See, it's that easy. I mean, just call. You don't have to jump on camera if you don't want to. Call in and tell us what you think. Durkee, glad you were watching, man. We're on. I mean, I'm not taking a bet against you. I agree with the playoff loss. That's where I'm concerned with the 49ers. But I gotta say right now, they're showing it this week against a Packer team that I really thought I stayed away from the game, but I thought Green Bay was going to win this game or lose by 1 or 2. I did not expect this score at halftime.
And in Durkee's defense, I mean, I think everybody sucks, he said. So
Yeah,
he's even critical of the Patriots. So
he is. Well, no, he's honest. He's honest.
Yeah.
And let's be real. The 49ers, there's been some games where they did look pretty god awful bad against some pretty important teams. So, but there's one thing I will say about Dirks is he will be honest, except for when he comes to his Patriots. So I always got that booty love for those Patriots. But moving on now, guys. Newman, you got the schedule in front of you.
Well, I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you about your team. I watched the game. I watched the last 5 minutes. I'm sure you don't want to relive it more than you have to, but it just happened, so we got to talk about it. Your kicker, Sly, slided one to the left, and left too much time for Breeze to come down.
What the hell are you talking about? One kick.
That's the one I seen.
Jesus.
And then you left too much time for Breeze to come down, and it's. Okay. I guess my first question is, the Carolina Panther defense. I mean, they started out the season pretty strong, and it seemed to have a steady decline. I guess my first question, as someone who watches all the games, what do you attribute that to? And I mean, just assess the whole situation.
All right. Well, there's a lot of things that contribute to that, but the main thing is we switched from a 4-3 to a 3-4 as our base scheme this year in the offseason. I love the move. We have the personnel for that. We're a couple pieces away there. KK went down, Kawan Short, for those of you that don't know who I'm talking about. Once we lost him, that was a big hole in the defense. Now, I was never a big fan of our secondary. I love Dante Jackson. I love James Bradbury. But beyond that, Dante Jackson is a slot corner, and he could be one of the best slot corners in the league. Bradbury can handle the outside just fine, but we don't have a true number 2 corner. That combined with injuries and that learning curve of going to a 3-4 and our defense is very young has just led to, I don't know, why the run defense is so bad. I'm going to blame on the one thing I'm going to blame this whole, what we're about to talk on, and that's coaching. A lot of this has to do with coaching. And it comes all the way down to Marty Herney. Now, I wrote, when I was a Panthers beat writer last time Herney was a GM, I used to write articles weekly about how terrible of a GM he was because he destroyed us. He came back. He's been decent. This offseason, he thought it was a good idea to roll with a rookie kicker against one of the best kickers in the league just because he was hurt for a couple of weeks. Well, everyone knows that unless he's some stud kicker, that's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Oh, shocker. It fucking did. And I mean, it's happened a lot this year anyway, but it really comes down to just coaching in general. Rivera took over, not sole control, but he took over play calling duties on defense. So he's calling these plays. And when you combine that with injuries and just coaching all the way from Rivera down to assistants, we just have a lot of issues on the defensive side, it's a shame because the talent is there. Shaq Thompson's one of the best up-and-coming linebackers in the league. We have one of the best front sevens in the league, but we were hurt with injuries, and the coaching's just not there to help them develop.
Well, you keep, at this rate, you'll have some new ones, I believe, especially with new ownership.
What's that?
Well, I was going to say, when they keep losing, you're going to have new coaches in place.
Yeah, well, we're going to get some new coaches in place. And John asked a question, what do you think of Ron Rivera? Never loved him as a coach, but I don't watch him week to week. Ron Rivera, John, and that was actually what I was actually about to segue to, and that's, is it time for him to go? Ron Rivera is an excellent defensive coordinator. One of the best in the league. Absolutely one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. Is he a good head coach? He would have been a great head coach in the late 90s to early 2000s. Now he's a serviceable coach, and he says all the right things. He's quiet. He doesn't make a big fool of himself. And the players seem to, for the most part, like him, the veterans. As you've noticed, Panther fans at least, as the team's gotten younger and the veterans have pulled out, the disconnect between him and the players has gotten immensely stronger. Now you're seeing issues with the medical staff, which falls down on his decisions. You're seeing him let a lot of assistants go that he did not need to, that are going on to other places and thriving. And that's on him. I mean, he's been given control by Tepper to bring in his staff, and he's failed. So I love Ron Rivera, think he's a great guy, but he's a great coordinator. I would love if he would step down as a head coach and become our D coordinator, but coaches, you guys know, they don't have that type of ego. They won't do it with their ego. So, that's not going to happen. But it is time for Ron Rivera to go 100%. And it sucks because I like the guy, but I don't think he has it with the players anymore. And he's refusing to adapt to the new NFL offenses. On defense, fine, because he's a defensive guru. He's been a leader in that type of stuff forever. But when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, he can't even let Norv Turner open up the playbook. Like, it's time for him to go.
Well, I'll take him as defensive coordinator in Pittsburgh.
You should. Any team should. Any team should.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh agrees.
Yep. All right. So let's move down the schedule a little bit today. Let's see some other games that happened. Patriots and Cowboys. That sure was an interesting game, to say the least. Not something that actually, before we move on, we have another caller. Awesome, guys. Keep calling in. Let's talk. If there's a game you want to talk about, ask us a question about a game, call in. But we have another caller on the line, Blake. Let's see who it is here. Let's add in Mr. Blake here. Blake, how's it going, my man?
I'm not going too shabby, man, other than the fact we lost a tough loss today.
Oh, shit. I know who this is. What's up, Blake? How's it going, buddy? Yeah, that was a tough one.
Man. It was. I totally agree that Ron Rivera should go. I hate to say it. Like you said, I like the guy, too. He seemed a few years ago when our team was clicking that all the guys were behind him and the fans were behind him. And even the front office was behind him. And now it's a lot of questions. A lot of questions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think, too, what happens, guys, is when a guy's been in a place for a while, sometimes that voice falls on deaf ears after a while. That's what's sort of been accused of in Pittsburgh with Tomlin, although he's kind of gotten rid of some of the malcontents in the locker room and kind of rebuilt it, if you will, with different sort of guys. But I think when a coach has been in a certain spot, the shelf life is kind of like milk. It kind of expires, and it's time to get a new gallon milk container in there. And so I think, like you said, we've had this discussion, Drew. He's probably a better coordinator, truthfully,
for sure,
in the league than a head coach. And it's crazy. We're talking about him. It's time to go. It's time to get move on from him in Carolina. But here I am as a Steeler fan saying we'll take him as a DC. And that, but that shows you how the dynamic there. You know what I mean? How you can be. There's certain coaches that are just better coordinators than head men, and like Josh says, 8 years. It's tough, especially in today's NFL. Guys, head coaches usually don't last as long as they did in some of the eras of the past. Those days are, Belichick and Tomlins and Harbaugh and Baltimore. Those are the exceptions rather than the commonalities.
Yeah, no, 100%. What's that, Blake?
Where did the Panthers go after they move on from Ron Rivera, though?
Well, it's way too early to tell. The coaching pool, Dave Tepper has built a lot of great relationships from his time in Philly. In Pittsburgh, a lot. It really depends on. Wow, he's driving through a wind tunnel there.
About that.
Yeah. It really depends on who's available. I think Lincoln Riley's all tied up with Dallas eventually. I think it depends on who the quarterback is and when you let Rivera go. If you have a quarterback if you already have your quarterback of the future, because I don't think too many quarterbacks are going to want to come based on Cam. But if you have your quarterback of the future, I think it leaves it open to anybody. But at this point, it's way too early to tell, as we have no clue who would be there on the block. The only thing I would say is I pray it's an offensive-minded coach.
Yes,
I'll throw a name out here for you, and it's going out here with the Steeler connection. He was a coach last year, and he went on to Denver, Hall of Fame offensive lineman. I think he got the name that you want to watch is Mike Munchak, who's in Denver right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of those guys that would be high up on my list, and I think would be great, and I think he'd work good with Turner. So I don't know. We'll see what it is. But Blake, before we let you go, any other questions you got here, bud?
Not that I can think of right offhand, buddy.
All right.
Just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep listening, enjoying it.
Thanks, man. Feel free to call in anytime. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Blake.
All right. Well, another caller in. That's awesome. And over here on the Longest Yard Watch Party, shout out to all you guys watching over in the Longest Yard. Thanks for the support, you guys. We've got a question from Rob. I'm going to butcher your name. I'm sorry. Rob Yarosh. And he says, and this is a game I wanted to talk about actually next anyway with you, John, and that's the Cleveland-Miami game. So when it comes to Miami, obviously they need a quarterback. Obviously they need a lot, a actual professional football team. Being in South Florida, it hurts me to say that, even though I never liked the Dolphins. But he asked, Tua or Burrows for the Dolphins? John?
Man, I'm a Joe Burrow guy.
Really?
I love that kid. Yeah, I'm not saying Tua's not good.
Of course,
I'm really buying the stock on Burrow. I've actually watched quite a bit of LSU's games this year, and it's a pipe dream, but I'd love for the Steelers to somehow wind up with him on the roster. It's not going to be happen without a first round pick, and so I'm a Burrow guy, and I'll be honest with you, I would have said that prior to the hip displacement of Tua.
Okay, all right.
So now when you add that in there, both of these guys might be very good NFL quarterbacks. That's not what I'm saying, but there's something about Burrow. It's we hear that in football through that they have that it factor. It's hard to put into exact words what it is, but he has it. And I know this is great. I've heard other people say this. When I watch him, and I'm not comparing him exactly, but he just reminds me a little bit of Tom Brady. Just the mannerisms, some of the plays he does make. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady 2.0. I don't know. There's just something there. I'm a big Joe Burrow fan, and I think him. Now that's crazy because if you would have asked me the same question before the college football season started, I wouldn't even thought twice to say Tua or maybe even another quarterback. Herbert in Oregon.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow's risen up the charts. He's done it. A lot of people say, well, who's he? He's done it even in the bigger games they've played, the Alabama and the Floridas, and he's done it against everyone that's been in front of him this year, including some real, big time college defenses. And I'm sold on Joe Burrow. I could be wrong, but that's who I would take.
Nice, and I know Dirks doesn't agree, but Rob does. He's been hoping Burrows, and if those are my only two choices, if we have to go with one of those two guys, then I'm going with Burrows. But if I'm the Dolphins and the draft capital that they have and the quarterbacks that are going to be available, I don't know. If it's me, I wait to see what quarterbacks are on that free agent market, what quarterbacks are up for trade. And I would look long and hard at Daniels and quite a few other players, skill position players, maybe trading that pick back to 3 or 4, picking up somebody pretty strong, and then using the gluttony of picks you have everywhere else to pick up those quarterbacks. But if those are the two options, right now I would go with Burrows, but to tell you the truth, I'm really not sold on either of them completely. But if one of them has that it factor that you're talking about, just that look, I would definitely say Burrows 100%. So, regarding that game itself, the Browns game, John, that was an absolutely incredible game. We talked about it on Thursday. You were worried about taking that spread. You handled that spread mightily easily, by the way. I did not hit that under. I did not think they were putting up that many points. But, that offense was absolutely incredible. I'm really glad my DFS lineup, like I told you guys, stack Baker, Landry, and Chubb. I told you guys to. If you did, you probably won money in your league because they put up like 130-something points combined between the three of them. But when you look at this game, I know it's the Dolphins, but they have been playing a little bit better. But when you look at all this, what do you take away from this game if you're Cleveland? And is he back? Is he really a starting quarterback?
Well, I'm a Baker fan. I think he's a good quarterback to very good at times. I think, you got 2 diva receivers. It makes your job a little more difficult. So I think they're starting to click a little bit. Their defense starting to play a little bit better. Held Pittsburgh and their anemic offense to 7 points in that game. We all know what happened at the end. And so they're coming into Pittsburgh now for that rematch. And I'll actually be at that game. And I'll still be here next Sunday. I'll actually be, the backdrop will look different. It will be in a Marriott where I'm staying. But I will be on Roughing the Passer. And I can definitely tell you up close all about that Cleveland offense next week. And I'm saying a lot of bad things about it.
Well, good deal, man. Yeah, I'll be my background will be different in a couple of weeks as I'll be down in Florida taking Jude to visit the grandparents. So maybe we'll get a beach backdrop, but over in shitty ass Tampa. So who knows? But as Rob said, Miami's defense makes anybody's offense look good. And I'd agree with it. And just like Blake just said, Baker isn't back. He just played the Dolphins. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. He played the Dolphins. This was a game where if the Browns were going to show that they were going to make any type of improvement whatsoever, this is a game you have to do. This is a game you have to put up those points. This is a game you have to play like that. Now, I will say, they did impress me. Chubb, like we talked about on Thursday, Chubb was your DFS starter, John. as we kind of move on a little bit to some DFS here. He was your starter, and you nailed it. He knocked it out of the park today. Had an incredible day today on the ground. But like you said, I mean, Chubb alone had 106 yards on the ground. Just great game by him. But at the same time, it's the Dolphins. So I think, you're getting what you expected there. But John, what's that?
No, I was just going to say he had a lot of that in the second half, but, I guess it doesn't matter. It's what you finish with. So I guess, once they had that big lead, they really started giving him the rock, and he crossed that 100-yard mark with the 2 TDs.
Yeah, that they definitely did. So, John, we are now through 12 weeks of football. We have got 5 weeks left. It's insane to me that there's 5 weeks left of football. Let's run through a couple games real quick and see if there's any others that we need to go over. Really, not too much. Seahawks dominated the Eagles. Other than that, Deshaun Watson and all about. So yeah, all right. So we got 5 weeks left in the season. Not too much time left at all, which means it's time. You and I don't do top 10 lists. We don't believe in them. But it is time now for us to go through the playoffs. It's playoff watch time because, we're right here at the playoffs. So with that in mind, Mr. Newman, let's take a look at the playoffs right now. This is if they started today. Obviously, with a couple of games that haven't been played, some of this can change, obviously. Mm-hmm. But you're looking at it right here, and you've got the Patriots. Okay, you've got the Patriots and 49ers as the number 1 seeds. You've got the Ravens and Saints as 2. And then the Steelers, Texans, Vikings, Packers, Seahawks, Cowboys, Bills, and Chiefs. When you look at that, what sticks out to you with looking at this as you see who's in the hunt? You're looking at, it goes on and on and on. We'll stick to maybe right here as teams that maybe have a realistic chance of making it. So, what do you think of when you see this in the playoffs right now?
You look at the AFC. I know. The Steelers are in. That's crazy, man. If you would have told me that 4 weeks ago, I would have said you're insane. So I'm pleasantly surprised, but I'm also a little bit pessimistic. I think we just talked about them. The Browns are the team. When you look at the ones that aren't in, going back to that section, the ones in the hunt, the Browns to me are the most dangerous team in that group. Yeah,
in that group, bet more than the Raiders, really.
Yeah, you saw the Raiders today getting their ass handed to them by the New York Jets, and they only put up 3 points. It's not like they lost 34-20; they lost 34-3.
Right.
So I'm not sold on the Raiders.
No,
I like Gruden. I think they're moving in the right direction. But I know they just played the Dolphins, but the Browns' offense is a lot more of a stable, can put up 20 points in a game kind of offense, where we saw what the Raiders can do today.
Well,
and listen, the Browns and the Steelers, as we just talked about, are going to play Sunday. And I'll be honest with you, that's a huge game. And I'll say it. I think if the Browns win that, I think they'll pass the Steelers. If the Steelers win it, they may be able to hold off and just claw into this playoffs.
Okay, well, Rob says the Super Bowl goes through Baltimore in the AFC. And, Rob, I may not disagree with you here. But, all right, so I got a question for everybody watching. I think we got a couple of you guys left still. Share this video, by the way, as I'm going to post the stuff. If you guys can share the watch party or the video or anything right now to a page or a group, anyone that does share the next couple weeks episodes, I'm going to be putting you into a list for a drawing for a really awesome Christmas present. It's not just going to be some autographed football thing. It's going to be something really, really cool. So anytime we're on, including this episode, share it while we're live, and those shares count towards it. But for those of you that are watching live right now, as we've shown you who's in the hunt right now, and we've shown you where they are in the playoffs, you know, where their ranking is right now. Newman, I'm going to ask you this as well. Everyone else, please call in or comment and tell us who you think. Call in especially. We'd love to have one more of you guys call in tonight. It's been awesome having two. That's great. But who gets the last seed in the AFC and the NFC? Because this is a jam-packed, I mean, this is an absolute and massive log jam as you look at teams that are in the hunt right now for these final seeds. The Rams aren't even in the playoffs. The Bears, the Eagles, the Panthers. We aren't making the fucking playoffs. But, I mean, you've got the Browns, Titans, Colts, Raiders. So, John, start with you. Who gets the illustrious sixth and final seed?
Well, I have to pick one. I'm going to go. You're going to think I'm nuts. I'm going with the Browns.
Wow.
The Browns are the Colts. The Browns are the Colts. And listen, I hope it's the Steelers, but they're just so depleted on offense, man. You know, even today they had the scratch and claw to beat an 0-10 Bengals team. That guy almost came down off the roof today.
Yeah.
You know, let's be real. And even if the Steelers scratch and get in, they're probably not long for the playoffs this year. So I'd have the most, you know, they're the most talented team on the list that's not in right now. And, you know, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Steelers win next weekend and they're on the outside looking in. But that's who I'd pick, them or the Colts. But the Colts are another.
So wait a minute. You have the Browns getting in over the Steelers. Like, you think your Steelers are out and the Browns are in?
Based on what I've seen and knowing the two teams, you got to remember,
wow.
I'm an AFC North guy, so I'm not coming out of left field necessarily. I know people might think it's crazy, but I just think that right now, with the Steelers' injuries, now if the Steelers weren't as depleted, I might be singing a different song. You know, if Ben was in the lineup and never got hurt, the Steelers might be challenging the Ravens for the AFC North title. But that's, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You know what I mean? So it's with the current situation. I just don't know if the Steelers is really going to come. I hate to say it, but it's almost going to come down to Sunday's game.
Yeah, you know, it could. It definitely could. Okay, and so that's the AFC. What about the NFC for you?
Put that graphic back up if you could there.
Yeah, for teams in the hunt, absolutely. I produce this show. I can do that for you. There you go, good sir.
I gotta go. I'm not saying to get in for sure, but again, if you're looking at that list, the best team not in is the Rams. I think it's either goes with who's already on the slide for if the season ended today, but if it's one of these teams that come off not in there yet that makes a move, it's probably going to be the Rams. I know a lot of people. The Eagles were my Super Bowl pick before the season started, but I think they've proven to be sort of a pretender here. Carson Wentz not playing well. So I'm going with the Rams. If any team comes out of the knot in the hunt, it's going to be the Rams.
Okay, I like that. Rob Yarosh. Sorry, man. I know I butchered your name a couple times tonight. I'll hit you up later and figure out how to say that so I don't in the future. But he's got the Colts and the Bears, two teams that have a possibility. The Bears, I'm a little less. The Colts, I definitely believe in, which I'll talk about in a second. But the Bears, I'm a little iffy on. That just because I have no faith whatsoever in Mitchie. But all right, John. So you named your two. Me in the AFC. I mean, as incredible. I really did not expect to be saying this, but the team, honestly, that I've got going in there right now, because just looking at it here, the Chiefs are the 4th seed, the Bills are the 5th seed, and the Steelers are the 6th seed. I could see the Steelers and no, only the Steelers. Really, I think they're all set besides the Steelers. So I'm actually going to agree and go with the Colts here. I think the Colts, and I was really about to pick the Raiders, but I am going to go with the Colts. I love what Oakland's doing. I think it's great, but I am going to go with the Colts because I love what they're doing. They were one of those teams that I talked about with you and on Let Me Get That Potograph, that when Andrew Luck retired, that was a massive blow to them because they were one of my sleeper picks to make it all the way to AFC Championship. Maybe not the Super Bowl, but get there. I expected them to be the Baltimore this year. Their offensive line is stellar. They've got weapons. They've got a good quarterback. Defense is suspect, but getting better. I like Indy, but I also like Oakland a lot. I know a lot of the hoopla and everything that was going around kind of turned people off to him. But when Gruden, when people take the cameras away from Gruden, the man can he can just flat out coach, and he's proven it this year. But I got the Colts, and in the NFC, the reason that I took so long talking about the Colts is because I think it's done. I think this is the NFC playoffs, and I'll pull it up for you again. I think some of the where people are situated changes, but I've got it 100%. I've got the Saints, Vikings, Packers, Seahawks, and Cowboys. And 49ers. And 49ers. I just don't I think the Saints could end up having the 1 seed. I think the Saints will have the 1 seed by the end of the year. I think the Niners will have 2. Vikings will probably have the 3rd seed, as I think they'll end up taking the division from the Packers. And the Packers will get that wild card seed. They'll be down at the 6th seed or 5th seed. I think it'll go somewhere along those lines. But I don't think there's any change in the NFC.
Yeah, I could see that. I think the only one that really sneaks in, a backdoor would probably be the Rams. And going off your AFC picks, I'm going to say, like I said, to me, it's the Colts or the Browns. I think if the Browns, if Steelers can somehow beat the Browns Sunday, it comes down to, I think, the Colts and the Steelers. Blake, I know Tennessee. They're really a kind of an enigma team. They one week, like this week, they look great, and then they lose to like a team they should beat by double digits. So
yeah, my concern with Tennessee is I just have no faith in Tannehill whatsoever, and I think they're with a quarterback. Tennessee could make it to the Super Bowl easily. But they do not have a quarterback right now, and they're another one of those teams that's just kind of been saddled with quite a few injuries at a rough time. Now, I will say if Tannehill goes on a little roll and Derrick Henry continues running how Derrick Henry's running, then that could change, and I could easily see them jumping in there. I just don't see him leapfrogging so many other teams that I just think are leaps and bounds ahead of him at this moment.
Yeah, Tannehill's actually playing fairly well. It's just
he is.
I'm just not sold that he's going to do it for the long haul to get in to the playoffs, But they're probably
Yeah.
listen. I'm a realist. While I'm glad we're in a playoff spot right now, I just don't think we hold that thing. So
Right.
it's going to be probably one of those teams off the grid that gets that last spot.
At least you're in a playoff spot. Sadly, my team's just about done. Yeah, that sucks. But all right, so John, let's move on now. We've talked about some of that. And guys, please call in if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, or if you just want to jump on the air and brag about your team for 10 minutes. Come on, we got about 20, 30 minutes left. Jump on board, call in, say what's up. Let's do it, guys. But John, let's go now to the segment that, let's be honest, everybody's been waiting for it. We introduced it. I feel kind of bad. We introduced it and then we took it away from him. We didn't give it to him last week. But John, I think it's about time that we do our shit whip of the week. So what do you think?
You can't go wrong with shit whip of the week. I don't think we did take a week off, but it's another segment, folks, where we need some interaction. If you're watching a game and you see a massive hit, something we don't see enough anymore in the NFL with the new rules. So we need help to track these things down. But if you're watching a game, whether it's live or in your living room, and you see a great hit, and let us know, and we'll track down
us, baby. Yeah,
and we'll see if your candidate takes the cake, as they say.
Here we go. All right. So, like you said, hit us up, guys. Let us know. So, without further ado, Mr. Newman, I know you don't even know who this is.
I don't. This is all going to be a surprise.
This comes courtesy of Mr. Jamal Big Mouth Adams. Here we go. Mr. Carr rolling out. Beautiful pass. And boom. And let's take. I put it in slow-mo for you guys, too. So hold on. Wait. Got this beautiful play. And look at this beautiful hit. Bam. And then.
The post.
Let's see. Here we go. This might be the one. Yeah. Beautiful hit by Adams. And then I love how he gets up right after, just like any DB should. And just, that's right. That's right. It's me. So there is your shit whip of the week, Mr. Jamal Adams. Welcome to the exclusive club, my friend. Let's take a look at it one more time. It's a beauty. There weren't too many big ones this week, but Adams, he definitely laid in on this one.
Yeah, that's a running back flying backwards too, by the way.
Exactly. Adams is the big hitter. Bam.
Yeah, he is. He's a lot of people. I don't want to say he's a secret, but he's definitely underrated. A lot of people don't know how good he really is.
No, absolutely. So, guys, there's another edition of Shit Whip of the Week. Remember, like John said, tag us. Let us know, let us know the big hits, what you want to see. Let us know the ones that you think should be the Shit Whip hit of the week, and we'll include them in future episodes. Let's see. Blake says the Traquan hit Smith was worse. Well, Blake, I didn't see the Traquan hit, so you're proving my point. Tag a brother, and then we can put it on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on now to another segment of ours. Well, it's going to be a brand new segment. It's going to be where we talk some daily fantasy with you guys. So, Mr. Newman, your daily fantasy guy. Actually, hold on. What we're going to do now, any daily fantasy questions from anybody today? Any questions that you have about maybe the Sunday night game, Monday night game, or anything like that? Because, John, you're Bo Scarborough. Bo Scarborough, you're your pick for the sleeper. played incredibly well today. He got around 12 points, which for a guy that is low money, that's what you're looking for, is to get that 8 to 12 points out of a guy like that. I mean, that's perfect. Mine, on the other hand, Darius Geis, I don't know what Washington's doing with him. Maybe a Washington fan that's watching can help me out here. I don't know what they're doing with him, because if you're not even gonna use him, he's healthy. If you're not even gonna give him a chance to move the ball, then move him. I mean, he's a second-round pick with incredible talent. They didn't give him the ball at all, so he ended up with 4.8. But so he definitely won the round of sleepers, that's for sure.
Yeah, Bo, you just knew when you get a guy that low who's actually going to carry much of the load due to injuries, it's always risk that he's just going to have a stinker of a game all by himself. But I figured against Washington, he had a shot to put up some numbers, and he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, like I said, while we go on, and let's see, who are you putting in? Let's see, Blake's got a question for us. Who are you guys putting in the captain spot tomorrow night? Okay, Blake, let's see here. For the captain spot tomorrow night for Ravens and Rams, honestly, at this moment, I haven't looked at the lineup enough, but I'm either going with is Ingram playing? I'm assuming Ingram's playing. If he is, I would probably go with Ingram, or I'm going to go with Hollywood Brown. Those would be one of the two that I would captain for those double points, as someone a little on the lower end, but not one of those guys that, I mean, he's not going to handicap you from picking the rest of your team.
Yeah, I was going to say Ingram myself. If I had to go on the other side, I think the Ravens probably win this game, at least on paper. I'd probably go with a receiver. I'm not going to go with Gurley. I'm going to go with a receiver and one that's probably due to really like rebound, and is Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, no, Cooper Kupp's a great option to captain, because what he's normally known for are not necessarily volume, but bigger plays. And so if you're not going to get a ton of the PPRs, then you might as well maximize those, because if he gets those 30, 50-yard gains that he's accustomed to pulling out, you're going to get double those points plus double the bonuses on them plus the catch. So Cooper is actually, John, that's actually a very, very, very smart captain spot for tomorrow's team. So Blake, if I was you, that would be who I would be going with, bud. I'd be going with Kupp, maybe Hollywood or Ingram. But it really all depends on their price point and what team you're going after. But those would be the three I would look at first. All right, so before we wrap up everything, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for stock up and stock down. So, Mr. Newman, we're going to go with one player each this week. So, give it to me. Who is your stock up for the week?
Well, I love this guy. You know this. We've talked about him numerous times. He's on your team. And today really showed out. I know they didn't win, but DJ Moore, 6 catches, 126 yards, and 2 TDs. And I think he's you got to remember, better than even I do. I think he's one of the best, receivers in the game, that a lot of young receivers in the game. It'd be interesting to see, what kind of numbers he could put up with maybe a more stable quarterback situation. But today he was great, and I really like the guy long term. And today I think he showed what he's capable of doing.
100%. DJ Moore is outstanding. He can easily be a number one. He needs to be in the right type of offense to to flourish, and I think we're finally putting him in the right spots, things that are going to get him where he needs to go. He needs a quarterback that can he needs to be trusted enough to be a number one. Right now, I don't know if it's Rivera. I don't know who it is that doesn't trust him, but they don't give him enough. They don't give him he never feels like the number one. They need to give that to him. They need to hand him the reins and say, go with it, kid. But I completely agree with you. So who's your second stock up for the week?
Well, we talked about him real briefly earlier, and he's made the stock down list this year, and that this week he's back on the stock up list. I think he called Ghostbusters to get rid of the ghosts that he was seeing. That's 20 for 29, over 300 yards passing, and 2 touchdowns. So against a pretty good Oakland or Raiders team, I don't even know where they play anymore. Pretty good Raiders team, with a pretty decent defense. And today he came back and made believers out of some people who were probably on the doubtful side. Now it's 1 week, but he has actually started to play well even before this week again. So maybe he's righted that ship. Today he definitely did, and so he's my second stock up guy.
Nice. I like that pick. I was very tempted to put him as my fantasy or my DFS quarterback this week just for a low percentage option. If I'd put him in instead of Matt Ryan, I would have been in the running in the other pool as well, but I'll take the win that I got. But I like both of those. So for my stock ups this week, I've got actually a running back and a wide receiver. The first one is the man that he was very close to giving me some ridiculously good money in DFS, but that is the one, the only Derrick Henry. 19 carries, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, plus some catches and some yards. The dude, I mean, we all remember the amount of hype he had coming out of school. He was, one of those big guys. He was one of the most hyped people there was. And he's fallen off for a while due to injuries and a lot of other things, but he's really picked it up this year. And games like today, he dominated that game. He took that game over like he has done multiple weeks in the past. And I don't know. I think Derrick Henry's one of those guys that you need that can sneak up behind on you. And if he has a strong ending of the season, can come very close to being one of the top rushers in the league. But he's already becoming an incredibly reliable fantasy back. But in my opinion, his stock today shot up.
Yeah, he's trying to break that Alabama running back jinx, and starting to look like he's done it. So
he might do it. Yeah. All right. And so my next guy is a guy that it's no surprise. He's been tearing it up all year, but games like today are the games that are actually they're gonna put him on the map. AB's gone. Receivers, Julio's slowing down a little bit. We're getting a lot of these new young guys. Chris Godwin for Tampa Bay. He's straddled with a quarterback that's just god-awful. Probably will be a backup in a couple of years. But this kid, lightning fast, great hands, sharp route runner. I love everything about him. Today, 7 for 184 and 2 touchdowns. That's 26.3 yards a catch. That's absurd. Godwin has proved all year that, next to Mike Evans, he's good. But now he's proving that, at least in my opinion, he's their new number one. If I'm Tampa, that's who I focus my team around. And I even look at if Evans is any problem or costs too much, I'd move Evans and build my team around Godwin. The kid is that special, so he's on my stock up this week.
Yeah, he's one of those players. Like you said, I think he's become a number one, and a lot of people still sleep on him. Not me.
Yeah.
but not you. But some people don't realize how great he is. And forget good. I think he's a great NFL wide receiver, and he's really done it most of the year. So it's not like he just showed up this week.
Right. Is John there, or did we lose him? Let's see. We may have lost John.
How about now? You hear me?
There you go. He's back. All right. So who you got for stock down this week, buddy?
Oh man. Well, I'll go with two. The game that just ended. Amari Cooper. What is it? What is it? Receiver's name Cooper this year, putting up donuts. Cooper's Cup did it against the Steelers, and Amari Cooper did it against the Patriots today. And if Dallas was going to go in and beat New England on their home field, and we're going to do it with Amari Cooper putting up no catches, and that's what happened. Dallas winds up with the L, and the Patriots keep rolling and hold that number one seed in the AFC at the moment. But when your number one guy doesn't get it done, you're probably going to lose, and they lost today.
Every single time. Couldn't agree with you more. You said it best. So who's number two on the list for you, bud?
Maybe I'm a little bit angry at him, so I put him on my list, but it's my pick. Picked him, speaking of defense, I thought he was going to have a huge week at home against the Tampa Bay defense that's not really stopping many people.
Right.
And you look at the box score, and it's not terrible. 23 for 48. Actually, that is under 50% completion rate. 271 yards, but no touchdowns and an interception, and that's Matt Ryan. And I know he's played well all year, but you're at home against Tampa Bay, and you basically get outplayed by Jameis Winston in your own backyard. You're going to make my stock down list. And that's probably disgruntled DFS guy, but he still played bad. So he deserves
he played terrible in a game, especially how he's been playing lately. He played absolutely terrible. I couldn't agree with you more. And anytime you want to put Matt Ryan on the list, that's fine by me because, he's Matt frickin' Ryan. But all right, so now to my stock down list. Very first up on this list is it's a quarterback, and it is none other than Mr. Carson Wentz. I mean, you got a game against Seattle. Seattle's going to you, and two interceptions, a couple of fumbles, I believe, multiple sacks, never got going, never had a chance. The Seattle defense is not that good. I know they're good, but they are not that good. This was a disgrace by Wentz, and I think Eagles fans really need to start taking a hard look. I know he played really good, and I know he's been hurt, blah, 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 blah. There comes a time where you've got to start taking a look where if the Eagles don't make it to the playoffs this year, you've got to give Wentz one more prove-it year, and then you have to move on. There's no excuse for this. I know he was down a lot of weapons. I know they've had some injuries, but that's not why he's fumbling a ball. That's not why all those interceptions are having. Throw the damn things away. So Carson Wentz, another one of those quarterbacks that we hype up after 1 year, and then they get film and they start to tank, and then they get hurt, and then they come back and nothing changes. He has not improved his game at all. He has not worked on the things that were a problem when he was a rookie. And they show in games like today, games that matter. And so Carson Wentz is tops on my stock down list this week.
Yeah, he's regressed. To be quite frank, he's regressed in his skill set. And you're right. He went from we don't need Nick Foles here. We got our franchise quarterback to we might need another quarterback.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I agree with you completely. There are some that don't even give him that year. I'm with you. I think he gets another year, but
He has
that
to.
leash is going to be short. And whether even if they give him another year, they're going to have to get a backup who's viable enough when he gets if and when he would get benched that they can plug someone else in there to maybe win some games. And it's really amazing where he's kind of went from kind of darling of Philadelphia to the doghouse at this point. And his own teammates have anonymously. I hate when that happens, but they've anonymously taken shots at him, and that's not good when your own guys are going to the press and making comments that you don't work as hard, you don't know the playbook, and so that bloom is starting. I don't think it's starting. I think the bloom is off the rose there in Philadelphia.
I could not agree with you more. So speaking of quarterbacks that are high up on the pedestal for certain franchises that, in my opinion, need to be chopped down to size, and somebody that we have talked about a couple of times on this show lately, but after a game like today, he deserves to be on that list, and that is you, Mr. Dak Prescott. Okay. I know he's playing the Patriots today. I know they have a good defense. I don't care. That does not excuse 19 of 33 for 212, no touchdowns, one interception. Again, someone else having trouble holding onto the ball and putting up a total of 9 points. Not a single touchdown. You can't do this if you're. I mean, all we heard this week was Dak should be an MVP candidate. He should be up there with Lamar as an MVP candidate. No, the hell he shouldn't be. I'm sorry. I don't hate Dak. I like Dak. I'm glad he's getting that yogurt money that Cam lost out on because he was surprised that Chick knew football. I'm glad he gets that money. But this whole MVP conversation nonsense is a complete and total joke. This performance against the Patriots in a primetime game, I consider primetime games now Sunday at 4. Sunday at 4 in the night game, because those are the two games that matter these days, and those are the two games that get the most attention. You have a game like that, game of the week type of deal, and you put up this performance? Come on, bro. No. Stock down.
Yeah, not a $40 million performance.
God, no. Get that shit out of here.
And they might have got his coach unemployed too. Not that one guy.
Well, if he did that, then it's a win. If he gets Jason Garrett fired, it's a win. Then good job, dude. I mean, if he can get Ginger fired, good job.
Well, yeah, Jerry came out after this game and was not as supportive of his coaching staff. So
really?
So the seat is getting warmer in Dallas, and it's been mentioned already. Lincoln Riley has been mentioned when you talk about possible new.
Oh, he's the next coach. I will 1,000% guarantee you. The second Jerry Jones knows, because this will be set up before Jason Garrett's fired, Jerry Jones will know that Lincoln Riley has at least verbally committed behind the scenes illegal tampering bullshit. He will have verbally committed to him that he will be that coach. That's when Garrett gets fired. Riley is 1,000% the successor there.
Yeah, and Riley's a quarterback guru in the same way that Cliff Kingsbury is viewed that in Arizona with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, but he really is, though. I mean, I watched him all the way back in East Carolina when he made Shane Carden look incredible and get drafted. I mean, the dude can do amazing things.
And that's what Jerry might do. He might just say, Dak will be better with Lincoln, and that's Tabs' guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. So those are the two guys on my stock down list this week.
Yeah, I got two good ones. You can throw Derek Carr. Derek Carr had a pretty crappy day.
Yeah,
So
that he did.
there's no shortage of stock down guys actually this week with some of the scores and
No,
performances.
there really, really weren't. So, guys, before we wrap everything up today and before we start our sign off, I figure it's only right that we jump right back to Shit Whip of the Week one more time. So, with that in mind, you know I love it, John. You know it's going to happen almost every week. Shit Whip of the Week. Hold on here. Well, if we can get the Shit Whip of the Week to work in one moment. Guys, if you're still watching, any questions you have, anything you'd like to call in, comments or anything, call in real quick. Chat with us. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us something that we said that was just completely wrong. Let us know. We want to know.
And free Saquon Barkley.
Yes, free Saquon Barkley. Yes, free Saquon Barkley. All right, here we go. Shit Whip of the Week is queued back up now. So, without further ado, one more viewing of the Shit Whip of the Week. Boom! I love it. Here we go again because it's just football. Look at this beauty. And just a nice pop right. And boom goes the dynamite. And then let's see it in slow-mo because, you know, it's awesome. Slow-mo. Boom. I just love the flex after. The flex after is just straight beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it.
He's in, besides the big hits, man, Jamal Adams is on almost, if you watch the Jets games, he's on almost every tackle, whether it's a run play or a pass play. He's right there. One of the best defensive players in the league that some people don't know about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of Roughing the Passer. Thanks so much finally getting some of y'all to call in and trying to answer as many questions from the watch party over in Longest Yard as I can. The comments I can't post on the main screen if they're not in the actual main thread, but I'll read as many as I can out loud for you guys. And thanks so much for watching, of course. But call in, of course. And next week being Thanksgiving, John, I think we're probably going to do our preview show on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. I figured the preview show next instead of Thursday will be on Wednesday, more than likely. But we'll keep you guys updated ahead of time on all of that. And also going to be announcing a really cool Christmas contest where it's pretty much just following and sharing some of these episodes will get you entered into a drawing for some pretty neat stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks. But John, I know you had a new episode of your show come out just recently, as did I. Tell everybody a little bit about what you got going on this week.
Yeah, the latest episode was Friday with some people who are maybe not even in the cards might know. I've heard about this gentleman, Jimmy Mahan. You had him on your program a few weeks back, and for those that don't know, he donated auctioned off a very significant card that he pulled out of a pack, and 100% of the proceeds went to Cross North, a charity he used to work with, and it's they help kids. It's sort of like a kids camp, and he's done tremendous things even before that, but that really just was the big story of recent. And so we had him on kind of a different interview. We talked about that card and other things. No show. I'm taking a rare Friday off with it being a holiday and just to kind of decompress. But what we are doing this week on Twitter is having some polls on some hobby products for an award show we're doing here on December 6th.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, definitely go check that episode out. And guys, I just dropped my new episode with actually John Newman and Lou Papa, who has some of the most high-end cards you'll ever hear. And next week's show for the Thanksgiving show has an absolutely insane interview coming up. It's going to be amazing. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in to Roughing the Passer. We love you guys. And like I said, you saw the show tonight. Lots of people calling in. Call in. You don't have to do it on video, but call in, talk to us. Just call in and brag about your team. Anything you want, any question you have, tell us we're wrong, whatever. Yeah. Call in and let's talk some football. We love it. That's why we do this, is so we can talk to you guys. But we'll be back with the Pick'em show right before the Thanksgiving games on Wednesday. But until then, guys, y'all have a good one, and we, of course, will see you next week.
See you Wednesday.